welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I heard you say favorite there.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I don't know about that.
I shouldn't tell you that though, but yeah, I did tell me you're one of my favorite musicians.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's why I told you I'm thrilled that you have a new piece of music, piece of art. Maybe
I'm not even sure what that is. Sometimes I look at this and I think, oh, is that really me?
It's a very interesting picture.
It
could be a
interesting,
sculpture.
isn't it?
I mean, it's probably you, but it could be a sculpture. Did you get
Cold?
a cold and achy the next day? And
No.
Because you're all cramped up?
It was quite difficult doing that because we shot it in Paris, first in a studio. This particular shot was in a studio, then we went outside on the outskirts of Paris into the woods, into nature, to do some other shots which are not in the album, but that was slightly more cold.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's very interesting, very catchy picture. So your new album, thank God, is out.
Thank you.
It's been a while. What have you done in the meantime? Have you been working on this album for all the years since your last one came out, or?
Well, you know, that's funnily enough, that's a question that I've been asked quite a lot.
Yeah, probably.
No disrespect, but it's interesting that it seems that like it's taken me 4 years to make the album, which I guess is why a lot of people have asked me that question. I've only actually been making this album for at maximum a year and a half. But what happened, you see, was we released the second album and I toured, and after about a year and a half it had pretty much done what it was going to do, and I had maybe 60% of these new songs written and I was ready to go into the studio. Then of course I got a phone call from a gentleman by the name of Joel Schumacher who said, you know, I really like that song Kiss from a Rose. I want to put it in a movie. So we of course said yes, and you know, the rest is history, as they say. But how that affected me was that I found myself not only promoting the same album again that had, you know, pretty much been over by that time.
Yeah.
But I was touring for another year, so I didn't really get to start making the album until about almost 3 years.
Yeah, so there were just tiny
after the
ideas
release
that you couldn't really do anything with yet.
Well, they were more than, I mean, a lot of the songs were kind of written, but then, I mean, you know, let's face it, I take a long time to make records in any case, and so it just seemed longer.
Were there any tracks that you had almost finished, but since you had to do other things first, you came back and you thought, this is not really, I'm going to change this one, or I'm going to throw it out, and I have new ideas and new...
There weren't any actually really recorded, but a lot of them written. Human Beings, I guess, is the one that hasn't changed much from its demo. It's been made to sound more like a record, but it was pretty much the same from its initial conception. But yeah, there you have it. You see, that's pretty much why it seems like it's taken, I guess effectively, it has taken 4 years, but that's the reason.
Right, but it only took you a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's my excuse today.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, you don't have to apologize. I'm just really glad that the new one is actually in my hands here right now. Now, most of your lyrics are, to me, they're poetry. Is that something you've always been interested in writing and expressing yourself on paper? Of course, you're expressing yourself in music too, but your words, I mean, you could grab all of these lyrics and put them in a publication, maybe.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've never been one for writing lyrics on.
Oh, really?
On my album. Well, I never wrote lyrics or wrote the lyrics out on paper on my first or second album, and I've often been asked, why don't you ever print your lyrics? Yeah. And I guess it's in contradiction to what you just said, although I thank you very much. I I believe that if you to write lyrics down on paper, they have to read like poetry, or they have to almost generate a rhythm, a song of their own, without music. And I don't think mine ever have. I'll tell you what I mean. If you read the lyrics of, let's say, Dylan or Joni Mitchell, you know, they're beautiful without the music themselves, without even the music. They're extremely free-flowing and worthy of conjuring up all kinds of images. I've never really thought that mine have done that, you know. I think that
could be because they're your own.
Well, maybe, but also I think, you know, there were too many oohs and ahs and ooh babies in my lyrics.
But there aren't, not on this album. I haven't found any. I've read your lyrics, but I haven't found too many oohs and ahs and baby baby. But of course, there's repetition, but there's repetition in poetry also.
Yes, a very, very good point. You know, you should write my bio because you say all the right things. But
well, maybe one day I will.
But this time round, I decided to not print the lyrics, but rather print the inspiration behind the lyrics. So what you will find is on the liner notes are excerpts from letters and bits of poetry and certain segments of songs, but then it will drift in and out of the inspiration behind those songs, which I kind of find to, if I was a punter, I would be more interested. I mean, because of course the lyrics you can hear in the music. I mean, I guess for most part, but I'd be more interested in the inspiration, like what made the person write those lyrics or write those songs, rather than, you know, just word for word. But hopefully people will enjoy it. I'm not quite sure what it is myself, to tell you the honest truth, but there were lots of photographs that I'm quite happy with of the various people that have influenced my life during the process.
Can you name some of those?
This record. Well, I have some great friends. Charles Como, who is a good friend of mine. Rebecca, my manager. My friend Paul, my dear friend Nikki, my dog. Just about everyone is in there. There's loads and loads of people.
And so the things you sing about, the things you write about, are those things that you have personally experienced, or do you also put other people's experiences into your songs? When you hear something from, you know, somebody tells you their problems or what their
pretty much from personal experience, but also the way that other people's experiences or lives have affected me, which I guess is more so the same thing. In the case of Human Beings, the title track, that was initially inspired by the death of Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. It's not just about that, I will hasten to add, because many people think it's a song just about them or a tribute to them. It isn't. It's the album is essentially about love and all the different manifestations of love between two people, love of the self or the lack thereof, love, which I believe to be somewhat the case with the two rappers that I referred to. I think that it was a big shame, their death, especially when they were so talented. But also I think it was so ridiculous. You know, one person was shot and seemingly another one was shot, one was shot on the West Coast and the other one was shot on the East Coast. And I just find that concept so ridiculous.
Right. It's a waste of lives.
A waste of life, but also a waste of a chance, you know, because I think that, you know, however you look at it, whether they were saying positive things or negative things, they had a platform and people looked up to them. And a chance to, particularly black people, young black youth, had a chance to they had a chance to really make a difference.
Right.
And portray a message of positivity. But sadly, that wasn't really the case. I think the life that they led was one of which glamorized this false romance of gangsterism and violence and I guess the picture that they gave was, this is what success is like. And I don't really think that is what success is about. Certainly, I don't think it's about killing each other or having, millions of scantily clad women in the jacuzzi in every video. Or not millions, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And yeah, I guess that is a part of life, but essentially that's not really what success is about, or at least that's not what I think it's about. And I guess human beings really was, and is me saying, well, it's not about success isn't about being a gangster and portraying that message. It's the reality of it is that if you play with fire, you will will get burnt. If you live by the sword, you unfortunately have an uncanny habit of dying by the sword. And so, but then the songs are also about fear, about succumbing to fear, as opposed to acting from our natural state of love. And I mentioned the lack thereof, all the things that happen when there is no love of the self, no self-esteem, how we tend to kind of fall by the wayside and end up like the two rappers.
Yeah.
This is the Music Factory.